Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
Somehow I can still see. Children look like burnt paper. Black. Not moving. And then the blast wave hits them. And they fly apart like leaves.
Dreams. The end of the world are very common.
It's not a dream anymore, it's real. I know the date it happens.
I'm sure it feels very real to you.
On August 29th, 1997, it's gonna feel pretty fucking real to you, too. Anybody not wearing 2 million sunblock is gonna have a real bad day. Get it?
To claims about fires after several U.S. food processing plants went up in flames in recent months.
WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg looks into what we know about the circumstances tonight.
Recent fires at food processing plants across the U.S. have several people speculating online if something else is behind them. This tweet notes a, quote, odd coincidence that, quote, 18 U.S. food processing facilities burned down in the last 6 months. The question that we're looking at today, are people setting food processing plants on fire intentionally in order to create a food shortage? Let's verify. Our sources, Sam Gage-Jack, the communications manager for the American Association of Meat Processors, Sarah Little, the vice president of communications for the North American Meat Institute, Tom Super, the senior vice president of communications for the National Chicken Council, fire officials in each case, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, otherwise known as the USDA. In a statement, Little told us, quote, we are not aware of any concerted effort to set food processing facilities on fire. Super told us, quote, I can only speak for chicken, but like any manufacturing plant industry, there are genuinely a few fires that occur each year across the country. Most of them are contained rather quickly. Gage-Jack agrees.
We've not seen anything that points to it being suspicious in any way. A lot of them seem to be mechanical failures or just very unfortunate, tragic things that happen, but nothing that was deliberate.
So let's break down the number on what we learned from fire officials. 11 of the fires were either ruled accidental or no foul play was suspected. 6 others are still under investigation. The other one was at a vacant building
elsewhere
that
around the
once
country
housed
is putting new attention on train safety in this country. They happen all the time. In fact, trains derail in this country 3 times a day. Trains carry a massive amount of freight around this country, and that freight is oftentimes grain or flour or wheat, but it can also be crude oil. It can also be diesel fuel. And so when you have trains derailing in environmentally sensitive areas, you have a real risk to people. Most of the time, this is an incredibly safe process, but these high-profile incidents have indicated that there may be
my husband and I were in our living room, just normal Friday night, watching TV, watching Netflix, and everything changed. At almost 9 o'clock, our house rumbled and it shook. I knew instantly that the train derailed.
On February 3rd, 2023, a freight train carrying hazardous materials derailed in the small town of East Palestine, Ohio, after a wheel bearing overheated and caught on fire.
The gates of hell were open because you're just standing there in this wall of fire. I mean, it's going up, I don't know, 2 stories, 3 stories up.
All this is relatable. I know people can easily try to disassociate, but even this idea of disclosure or panspermia, alien savior, all this stuff that all the world is going to, the only way that this can roll on to the scene is post World War III. That is why I say they must have it. They must have a nuclear exchange so that then again, that global collective traumatic experience that gives a hive mind, a counterfeit hive mind, that they can come in with the next level of deception to consolidate all power and religions and monetary systems and control under a new order of things with Luciferian initiation at the head of it all. So again, that gets into what is going on right now in real time. Great terror. Great terror. So Viktor Suvorov in 1988, he wrote the book about Spetsnaz, specifically talking about Spetsnaz, the role of Spetsnaz, and what they would be doing just prior to World War III. Okay, are we ready for it? I'm gonna bullet point it, right? So this is their great terror. Suvorov, he details the role of Spetsnaz just prior to the initiation of World War III. Let me read his direct quote. He says, the last month of peace, as in other wars, has almost a palatable, air of crisis about it. Incidents, accidents, and small disasters add to the tension. All these operations, because of course none of these events are an accident, are like any other known officially in the GRU as a preparatory period. And unofficially, it's known as the overture, if anybody's heard the word overture. The overture is a series of large and small operations, the purpose of which, before actual military operation begins, is to weaken the enemy's morale, create an atmosphere of general suspicion, fear, and uncertainty, and to divert the attention of the enemy's armies and police forces to a huge number of different targets, each with its own objective of the next attack. The Great Terror is a disruptor of infrastructure and sabotage conducted in a way that can never be directly related to Russia. This is what Suvorov wrote. This is our plan. The GRU reckons that in this period, its operations should be regarded as natural disasters, acts by forces beyond human control, mistakes committed by people, or as terrorist acts or organizations not connected with the Soviet Union. Think like, oh, the environmentalists did it, or the Antifa did it, or the BLM did it, or the left extremists did it, or the right extremists did it, or a disgruntled citizen. So the whole nature of the overture of this great terror before World War III is to create plausible deniability for the Russian government until it's time. They said they will require little or no weapons, very few people, rudimentary tools, basic sabotage with an easily explainable, plausible deniability. The overture is to last months and increase in frequency and broadness of evidence. Suvorov points this out, dude. Nuts. They will attack things like oil refineries. They will have train crashes in random spots carrying toxic chemicals. They will create massive forest fires that seem seemingly disconnected, are related to human error or human interaction. They will have unrelated outbreaks of deadly diseases. Sound familiar? To overwhelm our critical infrastructure. They will break down our communications by having attacks on our electrical power grids with small arms fires by Spetsnaz. And they will create psychological warfare throughout the country by creating scandal after scandal after scandal about our elected officials to create widespread distrust. So no matter what the government says, the American people will not react to it. I'll keep going. They said as a part of this great terror just prior, in the months prior to World War III, they will create food facility fires, train derailments, power substation sabotage, cyber attacks on key infrastructure. Dole Foods is under cyber attack right now. They totally shut down today. They will have cyber attacks on our communications and on our banking infrastructure. The political scandals and the erosion of international support for the U.S. due to the incompetencies of our deep-seated corruption and scandal, and they will put into power a completely ineffective executive branch. And
that's all being done right now.
All done. It's done. They're doing it. So that's why I say there is an inevitability of World War III. Who knows the imminency? You and I know the logistics of war. It could be, it takes so long to mobilize and to activate and to put your things in place. It takes years of preparation, which they've been in years of preparation. And we're coming into this convergent zenith of the reality of this perestroika deception through the Gray Terror unto World War III with a nuclear exchange to the consolidation of this new Luciferian world order and fulfillment of biblical prophecy with Gog and Magog and the armies of the East coming across and this great crescendo of peace being taken from the earth and men given over to slaughter one another, famine, disease, pestilence, war and rumors of war. And all this stuff is going on right now in real time and nobody's even